well, we got to find the magical crystal. Okay, well, the holy warrior, your paladin kind of archetype, might want to do that because it's maybe they think that the crystal is evil and is threatening the power of Helm. But the warlock's like, I could use that crystal and use it for my patron. And the barbarian would be like, shiny crystal, me want. And so all three of these characters would be like, you know what, our odds of achieving this are better together than apart. On a recent episode, I mentioned this thing that's been going through my head, a question that has been bothering me for a long time, and it's about adventuring parties. Mostly the question like, how did we all get here? Like, How did
we get here?
Yeah, what? Well, just here's what I mean. A wizard, a druid, a bard, and a barbarian walk into a bar. Why are they all together? Why are they working together in the first place? I don't understand the reasoning. Like, I'm sure it's different for different groups as to the reasoning behind it, but a lot of times you just kind of breeze over that entirely, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, these are the characters we built, and I guess we're all together.
I think in some circles, some gaming groups, the first session or session 0 can be establishing a background of who the party members are and why they know each other. There are some ways you can do like a round robin. Hey, tell us about your character and tell us how you know this next character.
Oh, okay.
And so then it's like you pull them into your story. And then they go around the table and it's like the next character tells how they know the other character and how they know. So you go around until you've established how everyone kind of is a connected network. That's one way you can do it. I've never been a part of a game that did that.
Sure.
And like our current game of D&D, my focus was helping Crave and my son learn to play, so the focus was not on learning how to storytell in that fashion and improvise at that level, where it was more focused on getting them to learn how to play the base game and what D&D kind of is.
Sure. So there was never a part where we tried to figure out like where Dwarvy and Gwyn met at any...
Not really. Ray came up with some background for her character, but my son was just disinterested in coming up with a background for his character, aside from he was a criminal once.
Yeah.
Which, again, different groups, different people like different things. If your group doesn't want to do that,
right,
it's fine.
Right.
But then you do come into this question of, well, how does your group know each other?
Right. To his credit, just for side note, Dwarvy just saying that he was just a criminal and not wanting to go into depth on that actually kind of makes sense for a criminal in general. They probably don't want to talk much about their backstory. Probably pretty tight-lipped about it. Yeah, I guess the thing is that, like, the typical trope, right, is that, you know, everybody meets at a bar. But we never really even flesh that out. It's like, okay, why would the paladin and the warlock suddenly chat each other up and kind of go, you know what, we should go adventuring together?
Yeah. It's like, I heard you serve an eldritch god. How would you like me to teach you about the Lord and Savior Helm?
Yeah, I got it.
And the warlock's like, I'm here to see what your god is talking about because my god.
Yeah, we don't know.
But then it's like, how much does the party trust each other then?
Right, and I think that's one of the problems that a lot of people might have with, like, an alignment system. It's like, how does like a chaotic evil and a lawful good character just kind of like say, yeah, I guess maybe we should be traveling together for some odd reason. I've got a holy cleric here, and I've got like a necromancer that wants to raise an undead army. Yeah, cool, we're besties now. Let's go out into the world.
Yeah, there can oftentimes be a lot of overlap if you don't go and figure out the background of the party, which is fine until something crops up.
Yeah.
But then it's a lot of, players' desires and actions versus the rest of the party's wants and desires as well. And you can get into some probably pretty bad horror stories from that.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of them online. Perhaps what you could do is look at it a little bit less from the characters in particular, like their interactions with each other, and more the reason why each one of them is going on this particular quest line. Like, in our adventure, it's sort of like, guns for hire, so it might be a little bit more important that they all just know how to work together. But if you were on, like, a major mission where there's an actual goal, each individual character might have specific reasons why they need to achieve that, and realize that it was advantageous to achieve that, to be working as a unit. Well, we gotta find the magical crystal. Okay, well, the holy warrior, your paladin kind of archetype, might want to do that because it's maybe they think that the crystal is evil and is threatening the power of Helm. But the warlock's like, I could use that crystal and use it for my patron. And the barbarian would be like, shiny crystal, me want. And so all three of these characters would be like, you know what, our odds of achieving this are better together than apart. So maybe we do it, even though we don't agree with anything each other thinks.
Then you just fight on who gets the crystal.
Yeah, everything is great right up until you find the crystal. And then the crystal of discontent just destroys the entire party dynamic.
That would be a total crystal knockdown.
Oh, a TCK. Or a tick.
No ticks.
No ticks. I'm gonna check everybody for some ticks. Total crystal knockdowns.
And everyone listening is now very itchy. We apologize.
I'm very, very sorry. Be careful in the tall grass, folks. They'll get you. That should be a quest line. Just how many ticks can we smite? They're each
all
worth
of them, hopefully.
They're each worth 1 XP. It will be like that going out in the woods and just smiting boars all day long.
I cast Fireball on the forest.
Yes, exactly. On that note, though, because I was just thinking about Warcraft, is like in a WoW and in MMO, sometimes you'll go on those raids and you're just around with these completely other characters that you've probably never met before. And that's sort of that thing where, like, we all have this one mission that we're going on, and we're probably all going to get something out of it, and it's probably better if we all work together, because that is a very, very, very large dragon.
Yeah, those are kind of forced in that if you would like to do this content, you kind of need this many people to do it.
Right. Right.
Whereas, I think Tabletop doesn't quite... It's not exactly the same thing. Generally, an adventure would say it's for this many to this many people.
Sure.
Or at minimum 2 people, for instance, but you can generally tailor those also to how many party members we have.
Sure.
For instance, in the game I've been running, there have been some that are like, yeah, for every 1 player, there's like 3 orcs. As per where the bells in the shrine were, I think you guys went to. I forget the name of it. It was like, yeah, for every player character, there are like 4 orcs.
Got it. Yeah.
And 1 ogre or something. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And of course that would be way more ominous if it weren't for the fact that Dwarvy could just stab them all in his...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah. What happens when you have like a stealthy rogue and also a bard that can cast invisibility on him?
Murder.
Murder. Lots of it. So much murder. Those orcs didn't know what to do with themselves.
They died doing what they loved. Dying in their sleep.
Pillaging. they were having dreams of pillaging. I think to myself, like, there are some scenarios, even in like a tabletop RPG, where it might make sense that you had to have a certain number of characters. Like, you could set up a scenario like Well, you're going into the arena. Like, you start as, fighters in an arena. But this is a doubles competition, or this is a team competition, and you better find X number of other people that are there that you can work with. Now you gotta have 4 people, and that just happens to be where you met, and it all starts there.
I think what it should come down to is a work between the games master and the players on their session 0. Excuse me. Where the GM will go, all right, here's kind of the idea that I'm going with. This is like the premise of the campaign we're going to be running.
Sure.
They don't necessarily have to tell you everything, but giving players an idea of what to expect is good up front, especially during character creation, because if your character doesn't want to go, I think there's that maybe famous example of Mike, all right, you guys need to get on the boat, and the one player's like, my character would never get on the boat. My character just leaves, and it's like, all right, cool, just make a new character then. It's like, you don't want that to actually happen in a game.
Right.
That would be very not fun for anybody to make another character like that.
Yeah. Is there fantasy Dramamine that we can just give him so that we can just pass out on the boat?
Right. So I think it's good to have the GM layout, like what you're going to do, and discuss that with the players, and then they can create characters that this aligns with perhaps their goal in some way. And then it's a discussion of, all right, why is your character pursuing this goal? And then how do you all know each other? And why are you doing this together?
Right.
I think that is probably the best way to go about that. If you want like a narrative where the players and characters all know each other and have some background and you can pull. But if you're not doing something that involves a lot of storytelling or involves a lot of like character depth, you may not need to, or your players may not want to do that. And that is okay too.
Is that one of the reasons why you don't, when you start new adventures or something, you don't usually see people take their old characters and bring them back in because they're like specific to the framing of the adventure that they were on?
Possibly. Maybe sometimes they just want to play new characters.
Yeah.
Other times it might be new dungeon master, games master, and you just are like, for instance, Nathan, if I were to run a new game and it was one I created, I would probably not let you play Max in it.
Right. He's too powerful.
No, it's just, I don't think that character would be fitting, like, especially if you're starting a new game at level 1. It's like, all right, well, your character's level 5, so you're not playing that character, you know?
Right. I know that in terms of, like, when I played Snowball, I had to do that thing where, since it's just one-shots, I had to keep, like, leveling up and de-leveling him for different scenarios. So there's those fun places where characters are like, Snowball, I thought that you could do this thing. And it's like, yeah, I remember being 5 levels higher last time. I'm not now. Uh-oh. Again. I remember having more magical ability than this. It's weird. But I've played in scenarios.
Snowball just gets his magical ability based on the difficulty of the thing he's solving.
Exactly. Yeah. I have played in games, in one-shots, where there are characters. There are people who just have, like, a character that they happen to play, and they will just level or, de-level them accordingly to just fit for that. But it's just like, this is the character I just like to play, so when it comes to any kind of one-shots or test material or anything, that's just the character they are, and they've just gotten very used to it. And sometimes maybe you can build characters that can kind of fit themselves into any scenario, but I do think that it is kind of specific to what the adventure is that you want to run. And so maybe the starting point is really thinking about that whole scenario like we were talking about, before you figure out the individuals, like, okay, so why is the ogre and the elf working together in the first place? Or the orc and the elf, There might be some extraneous reasons that drew them together and not just their BFFs,
But they still are BFFs.
Oh yeah, sure, they certainly are. They go and they play soccer all day long.
Yeah.
You see them all doing that Top Gun volleyball thing just out there, like, yeah, you.
Well, I know we're gonna get some decent comments in the Discord from this one.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure Datum has talked about this before.
Yeah.
Hopefully Seagoat, when he listens to this, will also throw some comments in there with his thoughts. If anyone else also has thoughts on this, we'd love to hear that as well.
Sure thing. Because, again, this is a crit thing, so we usually come up with a specific question that we would like to now pass along to everybody else. And I'm trying to think what we want that question to be. This time, I think our question is going to be, what is the best way you can think of for completely different characters to align together?
Ocean's 11.
Okay, so why are your characters in Ocean's 11? That's what we're gonna call it.
Money.
Great. Your characters are motivated by money. Well, they are adventurers. I guess that makes sense. If you have any thoughts about that, and you are in our Discord, feel free to leave any of that information in episode discussions, or of course you can comment on the videos, or you can catch us over on socials as well.